Wanted to do a reaction video to this video that I came across on YouTube last week. This guy by the name of Gavin Bain, if you're not familiar with this guy, Gavin Bain was one half of the duo Silibil Brains, who these two guys at Dundee who are rappers who were able to trick a fairly big label into thinking that they were American as they were rapping in American accents. They were out of California and tricked them into giving a record label. And at even one point, had were on the bill in a gig that D12 had done in Brixton. There's a big story about that, and there's a big documentary that's been on that, the Great Hip Hop Hoax. But Gavin Bain in this video on the John Cooper show talked about, he got into this, telling this story about this music industry party that was at Stringfellows. And you see the title here, Simon Cowell's Buffet Exposed. So some of you might have an idea potentially of what that might be known as the buffet. And you've got all these allegations in relation to P. Diddy right now. If you think about that, it might give you a little bit of an idea of what it means by the buffet. But this was a party that he had said that was hosted by Simon Cowell and Max Clifford, and this was an annual thing. With this, with Max Clifford, it's already out there. It's already been exposed. He's now passed away. Simon Cowell, we have to just wait and see. Maybe we'll have a bit of time. There's some stories that can come out there about him. But with Max Clifford, though, if you don't already know, Max Clifford was the big PR, big publicist for the celebrities. And then 2012, this was after all the stuff came out with Savile. As part of Operation U-Tree, he was arrested on suspicion of sexual offences. Then he was sentenced to 8 years in prison in May 2014 after being found guilty of 8 counts of indecent assault on 4 girls and women aged between 15 and 19. So Simon Cowell and Max Clifford were very tight. But nothing came out bad about Simon Cowell around that time. But we do know that Simon Cowell had a guy, I believe it was a Jonathan King, had been guilty of abusing on boys, and he had put up some of the money, his bail money at the time. But yeah, so there's a few sketchy things out there about people that have been associated with Simon Cowell or friends with him at one point. But anyway, I'm going to play this clip, Gavin Bain talking about this story, this annual industry event, this do. And then what I'll do, I'll react as it's going along, and then I'll react afterwards as well. So here we go. Let's get into this. The buffet.
It was an event that we were going to the one time. It was an after party, but again, it was at Stringfellows. And these music parties are at strip joints. Why? Is there because there's a way of hiding things and
hidden rooms?
Yeah. And so I went in and I kind of like got trapped.
You hear a lot about this hidden room stuff, do we?
So I went and got a Subway. And then but I saw my dudes were like waiting to go in, and I ran across the road, and they'd gone in. And I was like, "Oh, I'm with them," And then I had to show like an invitation type thing that we had, and they let me in. But then I didn't see the dudes I went with, but I saw this guy from a record company. He actually was at Island Records, one of the first people I met at Island Records. He was a really cool dude. And I saw him, and he went in, so I thought, well, he's obviously here as well. So I ran after him. I was like, hey, dude, I'm gonna say his name there. But I ran after him. He looked at me like, it was weird. He was shocked that I was there, and I was just like, what? Like, why are you shocked? And he was just like, oh, right. So, he's like, who are you here with and stuff? And I was like, I explained to him, and he was like, they're here? And I was just like, what is the deal? Like, what are you doing? So we went in this room, and he was like, you're gonna go to the buffet? And I'm like, why would I want to eat? Well, why do I want to eat right now? I'm like, I'm in party mode. I'm looking for my friend. Like, let's get drunk. Like, I'll laugh, And he was just like, all right. And he was going in, and I was following him. He was just so weirded out. And we went in, and I'm looking around, and there's all these guys over here, and there's some people young dudes who I've seen on the road, guitar techs or people who are trying to get in the industry, like young, who they're just trying whatever it can to get in the industry, and you see them out on the road, right? And I see one guy, and I'm thinking like, I swear this dude's like not. I'm sure he's underage, and he's not old enough to be in. Because when I've seen him on the road, he's not allowed to drink and stuff.
Yeah.
but weirded out, right? But he wanted to be a singer. He wanted to be get a record deal and all that stuff. And anyway, so I see him, and I'm like, I see a few other people, just like singers that were at shows, like that kind of scene, that kind of industry showcase scene.
Yeah.
You know, and so. But then I see like over in this other area. So there's basically what I'm saying is there's kind of industry people, there's people who are trying to make it, and then there was this other vibe, right? And it was like, what is going on here? Because I look over here and there's like young people, like young dudes and young girls.
We're talking under.
Yes,
Mm.
we're talking like 14.
Right.
Maybe even as early as like 13,
Right.
14, and it wasn't just a music thing, because I was seeing people who I knew were involved in film and TV at an executive level, so not small people, like people who were at companies like not ITN, they were at what's it called? One of the big companies used to do a lot of stuff with ITV, not ITN, another company.
Yeah.
Endemol, actually, they're called.
I used to work for Endemol.
Endemol. So I see a guy who I know is an
I used to
executive.
work in Shepherd's Bush, Endemol, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I see a guy who I know is an executive there.
Right.
And I know he's at the company. I'd kind of been in, when we had to do meetings with them,
Yeah.
I'd seen this guy there. So I recognized him. So I was like, all right. I was like, so this is like a film thing? What's going on?
Mm.
You know, and that hits me. I'm like, but I'm in a strip club. Like, what is the deal here?
Mm.
And also, like, the clothes that the girls were wearing. Some girls were in, like, very see-through type stuff. You could just see their breasts. You know, like, it was just a bit like, oh, you know. And then I kind of look over the guy who was looking at me the whole time, and I look at him and I'm just like, and he kind of looks at me as if you weren't invited here. And he kind of realizes, like, you shouldn't be here, you know. And he just like says that
You ain't part of
you
the club.
shouldn't be here, you know. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
Was this like the whole of Stringfellows? Was this like
No.
a side compartment of it?
Like
You followed him to this
I went to left. Then my friends had all gone just straight into like the normal.
the mall. Yeah,
straight.
and you went.
Yeah, and he went left, so I just followed him. And the whole conversation he had made sense to me. He's like, he was asking, how did I get invited to this? This is not for, you know. But he was thinking, oh, Silibil Brains these guys must be really like hooked up with people.
Yeah.
And so I was really freaked out about it, and I kind of like left, but I did just remember seeing certain people that, not only that I kind of knew that they were a part of, you know, like they were like big agents and stuff like that.
But you didn't see any sort of celebrities? Or...
No, not celebrities, but I saw people who I'd come to see on TV shows. Like when there's a TV show about a big artist's career or whatever, and you see this guy, and it's like, oh, this guy is one of the biggest managers in music, or this guy is actually, you know, someone like Max Clifford. And I was like, oh, I remember seeing Max Clifford there, you know, like, and it turned out it was Max Clifford and Simon Cowell's regular do.
So Simon Cowell was there?
It was their thing.
So they set it up?
I never saw Simon Cowell, but it was his thing. It was Simon Cowell and Max Clifford's do. It was called The Buffet.
And there you go. There you go then. Max Clifford and Simon Cowell's regular do. That was known as The Buffet at Stringfellows. And yeah, I mean, this stuff coming out, is that a huge surprise? No, it's not. But then I think it's interesting, this stuff coming out, because this guy who was kind of like, I suppose he was like kind of in the industry for a cup of coffee, but he was around enough and was in with the right people where he, whether, you know, be inadvertently ended up at this the buffet, and he saw what really goes on there, not in the main part of where Stringfellows is at, but, you know, around these top executives, very influential, very powerful people. And then, you know, there's underage people there, boys, girls. And it was like he knew that, I'm sure he knew they were underage. You know, sometimes girls can have that thing, young girls, if they wear makeup, big hair, they can look older than their age and peer of age. But he seemed to, like, he's like switched on, clued up guy. He knew that, you know, there's underage people there, and it's pretty messed up. I mean, you know, it's one thing having these industry parties when there's with the big wigs there, everybody gets together, there's networking, there's chance to meet good people, but it's proper fucked up though when these are the things. It's like, oh, this is what really goes on. This is what these people are really into when it's involving underage when underage boys and underage girls end up there. So he had said that you never saw Simon Cowell there, but Simon Cowell played a part in organising it. So you'd think, well, surely Simon Cowell must have known what was going on, because if he didn't, heads surely would have rolled if he wasn't down with that, if that stuff was going on, and that he had a part to play in art. He still was the one, along with Clifford, who organised that. So you think he must have known what really went down there. You would think, right? But yeah, stuff hasn't come out yet about Simon Cowell though. There's that whole thing online of there's that photo of Simon Cowell, and it's like, oh, just stuff. It was in relation to the whole Diddy thing. It's like, you ain't ready for the Simon Cowell story yet, and it's like Simon Cowell, holding up in his arms, picking up a young girl who might have looked like she was 8, 9, or 10, like a Thai girl or something. So that seemed a little bit strange, and that this looked like maybe he was like in his maybe late 20s, early 30s when that photo was taken, and it does look a bit of a weird story. It's not just like this is like, a girl, like a family friend, then he's lifting this girl up playfully. It's a bit of a weird one, that. But I guess we just have to wait and see and find out a little bit more on that. But yeah, he's another sketchy character, isn't he? There's stuff out there about him. It's weird. There's the whole thing. He's always had that kind of girl, Sanita around him, right? She's like his bit on the side, right? I know Steve Brookstein was talking about how that her and another woman, maybe it was some glamour model, Simon Cowell had got them both to hit on him on the final day of the night of the X Factor before he was announced as the winner. And he's there like smoking a cigar in the corner, smiling or something. And Brookstein, he was a married man at that point, faithful married man. Funny enough, his wife was a old music teacher at my old secondary school. So there's that story out there about that Brookstein told, and then there's the other story, incidentally, that Brookstein told about Max Clifford, because when he had the falling out with Cowell, the Brookstein, Max Clifford threatened him, and he said to him, "If you talk to the press, we'll bury you." I wonder if that might have been more of a literal we will literally bury you, not just metaphorically speaking. So everything came out about Max Clifford, right? You had Simon Cowell who bailed out that guy who was found guilty of, groping young boys, right? Sexually abusing young boys. But he tried to claim that he didn't know about the allegations. But it's like, surely if you're going to give bail money to somebody, you would know about the allegations, and you would know certainly the severity of the allegations, I'm certain, right? But yeah, it's funny because I know somebody who's like in the know and kind of like the high society of London, and I remember this person telling me about how, mentioned 3 names, right? It was Simon Cowell, and it was Richard Branson, and it was George Osborne. That they have a thing. They have a thing for black sex workers. I remember being told that. This was like 7 or 8 years ago. And when you think of, like, we all know about Simon Cowell, he loves the ladies. Richard Branson, there's stuff out there about him, sketchy stuff there about him. With sexual harassment allegations. There's George Osborne, who he had a big thing. Didn't he have a thing like a black prostitute? Like he was like when he was in his university days, still doing cocaine and stuff like that. That came out. And again, there's one thing if you're doing these things with sex workers that are of legal age, to each their own. But it's another bit messed up thing if it's people underage. But yeah, it's just with all that stuff now that came out about Diddy, about all this allegations and some proper messed up allegations. We're talking about young boys like 10, 11 years old. that are just wanting to try and make it in the music industry. Maybe their parents are pushing them into it, and yeah, and when you see this stuff coming out, it's not like a huge surprise. But you know, the buffet. I wonder, there might be other people there in the music scene, maybe in Britain, that maybe they'll talk and speak out and go on these podcasts, and they'll talk about this stuff about the buffet. Was that a thing? Were they there? Did they know about that? It'd be interesting to see. But I know in Gavin Bain, I'd watched a couple of these clips, and he had spoke Ben about you know, it was a big thing about, you know, oh, if you want to get signed by, you know, the big label Psycho. Funny how it's called that name, right? Psycho. That you know, it was like that thing of like you might have to, like a young up and coming male singer might have to sleep with this executive female that she might be, you know, older, maybe, I don't know, I imagine maybe overweight, unattractive, but the domineering type. But then once he's done that, he essentially signed his life away, and he's in like this forever binding contract, and it's just a lot of messed up, fucked up shit in the music industry. It is very much the devil's playground, and I think anybody who maybe had aspirations ever when you were younger, wanting to be a singer and be successful like that, you're probably better off not being in that industry, because it's dark, demonic, and majority, almost all aspects of it are controlled. And then ultimately you've got these people at the top who you have to answer to, like the Cowells, Simon Cowells of the world, who can kind of like fuck your shit up for you if they want to. And, you know, if this stuff is happening, these regular annual dues with buffets with underage boys and girls being involved, it's just, it's not an industry for good people who just want to, you know, be productive and do their thing and you know, make a living. It's just a lot more darker, a lot more messed up than just that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the buffet, should it be of no surprise? No, not really. But it would be interesting though to see if any other stuff comes out of anyone else. Anybody else will, it's in the music industry or was in the music industry, will talk about this regular do that Cowell and Clifford held. But yeah, but that's me for now, guys. You know what to do. Feel free to leave a comment. Any comments you've got on this video here, please give me your take and let me know what you think. If you've ever heard about this story before, about this annual buffet that they held, please drop a comment and just let me know, and just give me your take overall on this, on what your thoughts are on all this. But that's me for now, guys. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.